Welcome to the program, everyone. Nigeria may be standing at a defining moment for its public university system. After more than a decade of repeated strikes, disrupted academic calendars, and broken agreements, the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, have signed a new deal aimed at restoring stability to tertiary education. You know, between 2009 and 2025, ASUU has embarked on about 18 nationwide strikes, costing students more than 4 full academic years and fueling brain drain across the sector. This new agreement, we're told, promises a 40% salary review for academic staff. There are structured allowances, special packages for senior academics, and renewed commitments on research funding, autonomy, and governance, all aligned, the government says, with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. But Nigerians have heard similar promises before. When I spoke with the president of ASUU shortly after the signing on Wednesday, he was notably optimistic. But he also did say, or rather, he was very clear about the red lines and what, in his words, could immediately trigger another strike. So tonight, beyond the headlines, what is truly different this time? How will implementation be guaranteed? And how does government intend to protect students from another lost decade? Professor Suwaiba Ahmed is the Minister of State for Education. She joins the program live from our studio in Abuja. Prof, thank you so much for joining us this hour. Nigerians have seen agreements signed with ASUU before, most notably the 2009 agreement. But between then and 2025, we've witnessed about 18 nationwide strikes. Talk to us about what is structurally different about this agreement that convinces government it will not suffer the same fate of partial or failed implementation.
Thank you for having me. I would like to start by wishing Nigerians Happy New Year. This time is different for so many reasons. Let me start with the first one, and that is the composition of the membership for the committee that is actually negotiating with ASUU. In the previous cases, right from the 2009, 2012, 2015, the different agreement with ASUU, if you look at the composition, more specifically in terms of the government members that are negotiating on behalf of the government, you discover that most of those are either at the position of deputy directors, not even directors, or permanent secretaries. These, I will say, that are people that, technically speaking, are not on the decision table. And therefore, they make decisions, they accept negotiation in terms of agreement that may not necessarily work. When it comes to implementation, that is when it will realize that for so many reasons, that may not be feasible. And reviewing this, when we come on board, the first thing we did is to actually review the members in terms of ensuring that people that sit on the table with ASUU are members that can effectively negotiate with ASUU in terms of knowing what are the provisions at the government level, knowing what is feasible, and also knowing what is not feasible. And therefore, members were changed. We have permanent secretaries been in that negotiation team. We have directors. At the same time, the initial composition, you discover that there are other relevant agencies that are not duly represented in the negotiation team. But this time around, we ensure that all stakeholders in terms of ministries and parastatals are duly represented. For instance, Ministry of Budget, Salary and Wages, all relevant stakeholders in terms of government agencies were part of the negotiation team. And I would also like to point out that the chairman for this negotiation team on behalf of the government, Alhaji Ayala Ahmad, is a seasoned civil servant that has a very good understanding of the government and what is possible also. So this, to start with, is one of the key success, the composition of the negotiation team on behalf of the government. That is one. And being that these representative of the government now are people that are in the position to understand what the government can do and what the government cannot do, and also all other ministries are there also. So whatever was agreed with ASUU, there is a lot of back and forth. They make the submissions, they come back to us, we review their submissions and ensure that it's something we can do. For instance, the Carter that you were referring to, when it was proposed, we had to do modeling to see what is the government exposure if we accept to do this Carter, which is the Consolidated Academic Tool Allowance, which is the 40% allowance to be given to academics at the university. We had to do the full exposure, do the modeling, with salary and wages, who are the custodian of salaries in the country, had to sit down, do the modeling in terms of all the staff at the university, what is the total implication for the government. And we looked at the implication, and we also, from our own side, had to do our own background engagement, which entails ensuring that the president is aware. And of course, I would like to also, at this point, thank the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, because for him, education is a priority. By the time we made this submission that this is what we are negotiating with ASUU, he gave us 100% support. In fact, he even gave us additional support, even outside what we were actually looking for. Because for him, he said he wants ASUU to remain in school. He doesn't want interrupted sessions for the students, and therefore whatever we actually submit is an approval for us. He approved this, and I can assure you that already this has been, salary and wages have already written all the necessary memos to ensure that it's effective 1st January 2026.
So this salary review, 40% increment, for the first time we're also hearing about professorial cadre allowances, as you have said, expected to take effect from 1st of January this year. But is there a clear timeline for implementation milestones for other components of this new agreement? And who's responsible if those timelines slip?
As I said earlier, for both Carter and the professorial cadre allowance is the responsibility of salary and wages, and also the responsibility of Ministry of Budget, which, as I mentioned earlier, salary and wages has already done its part in terms of ensuring that they are working to ensure that come January salary, this Carter will be fully implemented in the salary of the academic staff. At the same time, for the professorial cadre allowances also, it is also captured under the Carter, under the salary and wages also, is also their responsibility. But then Budget, Ministry of Budget has also captured this exposure that I talked earlier in terms of what need to be captured in terms of the personnel budget. That has also been done. And of course, there is also the other aspect, that is the academic and allowances, which has also been mainstreamed. These are all part of the budgetary provisions which have been duly captured.
So 40% salary increase, expanded allowances, enhanced research funding.
It's not really a salary increase. I just want to be clear, it's not a salary increase. It is an allowances, academic allowances. We call it Carter, Consolidated Academic Tool Allowances. It's not a salary increment, it is an allowance for academic staff in the university.
But is it time-bound?
It's not time-bound. It's completely part of the package for the salary for the academic staff.
But it also sounds like you're saying that when it comes to funding this agreement, that there are safeguards that already exist to prevent budget shortfalls from derailing implementation midway, right?
What are these bottlenecks? I'm not aware of any bottlenecks.
No. You mentioned that there's already a budgetary provision for this. And I'm saying, are you assuring that there wouldn't be any, implementation bottleneck midway into paying all of these allowances?
I don't think there is, because I think all the necessary arrangements and all the necessary background work that should be done to ensure the full implementation of this agreement, we have done so. Of course, as I said, there are other ministries that are in charge of the implementation of some of this agreement. For instance, I mentioned salary and wages, but then we have seen that from their own side also, they work tirelessly. I like to appreciate also the Salary and Wages Commission and their staff for the efforts they put in making this agreement a reality for us. So from our own side, we are happy with the level of full in terms of the level of work that has been done by Salary and Wages to ensure that really this agreement is implemented within the stipulated time, which is January. They have done so, and I'm very confident that it will be implemented.
I'd like us to highlight some other concerns that we've heard from ASUU. ASUU says government interference in university governance remains a major unresolved concern, particularly through governing councils and vice chancellorship appointments. How does this agreement resolve that, practically protecting university autonomy, and what will government do differently to prevent political interference going forward?
The autonomy for the university is something that we also are very concerned about. We don't interfere, as a minister, I don't interfere in the activities of the governing body, and the minister also, Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa, who play a very key role in ensuring that we reach this level of success, also doesn't. The governing council are fully in charge of the universities. We only actually go into the university if and when asked by the council, specifically when we have series of issues or petitions. That is when we actually, the ministry, engage this governing council or even the universities. But apart from that, the governing board are fully in control of those institutions, and also the universities do as they wish based on laid down rules and regulations. So the autonomy of university is very important, and the government is not actually interfering in that regard.
To some extent, there's been some acknowledgement that accountability issues exist even within universities themselves, not just government. How does government intend to ensure that increased funding, allowances, and autonomy are indeed matched with the kind of transparency and productivity that will enhance the university management performance?
What we are trying to do right now, working together with the council and also the leadership of the university, that is the vice chancellor, is to bring in technology into administration at the university level. For instance, there are clear rules and regulations. Also, there are data that is very important. For instance, the funding that goes into university, how it was utilized, all those information. There is a platform that those data are to be imputed, the number of students that are registered, number of students that graduate. So we are trying to be to use technology solutions in terms of ensuring effective administration. This is done closely together with the school administrators. So we are allowing this school to give this platform. If you go to the university, we have a template that all this information are open. They are open not only for the leadership, but also academics, unions, anybody, even somebody outside the university can simply go into the university website, and all this information are available. So it is aimed at improving transparency in governance at the university level. This is just one of the solutions that we are deploying to ensure that really there is accountability, there is also transparency in how these universities are run.
The big question is whether or not this agreement will put an end to industrial action that many Nigerians who've passed through public universities in the past 20 years have become largely accustomed to. We'll talk more about that right after this break. Stay with us, everyone. Professor Suwaiba Ahmed is the Minister of State for Education. She joins me live from our Abuja studio. Prof, thank you so much for staying the course on this conversation. You know, between 2009 and last year, repeated strikes cost students more than 4 academic years collectively. And that's the big concern for many Nigerians. And they're asking, what specific protections does this new agreement offer students to ensure they are never again the collateral damage of labor conflict between government and unions?
To start with, right now, most of the concerns of the academic union have been addressed by this new agreement. At the same time, we have reached a level of understanding with the unions in terms of engaging in dialogue rather than strike action. And we are hoping that with the institutionalization of most of this concern, I think we will have a lasting solution. And we are hoping that strike will be something of the past. It will just be a memory. Because what the key concerns around the agreement, of course, it's not only welfare, but there are other concerns, which each of these concerns is not just what the solutions we provided with this agreement is not a temporary solution. Rather, they are, most of them, the solutions are permanent solutions. Mainstreaming of earned academic allowance is already mainstreamed, so it's institutionalized. It's not something that, like you asked earlier, whether there is a time frame. There is no time frame when something has already been mainstreamed into a system. At the same time, the Charter is also a permanent fixture. There is no expiry date for that. So I can say that the way we address most of the concerns by the academic unions is providing permanent solution, not a temporary solution. And with this approach, for me, I can say that I'm confident that ASUU strike is a thing of the past. It's not something that will happen again. But notwithstanding, if there are any other instances whether we have areas of concern with the academic union, we are pleading and also hoping that they will reach out to the government to sit down on the table. Just like we agree on these key issues, let's also agree on emerging issues so that we can come up with a collective solution that will provide a permanent solution to that. Strike is not an option. It's not something that should happen again. We are hoping for that.
In dealing with labor unions, we've seen the federal government explore legal areas like approaching approaching the court to ensure that unions stay back. Your relationship with ASUU, what is guiding this principle of understanding? Because in the health sector, government is already telling ASUU, no work, no pay. Do you think that you've advanced beyond that kind of legal friction with ASUU?
The no work, no pay policy is there to stay, which is not coming from this administration. It started from the last administration, and we don't change policy when it has already been passed. So it's a policy that has been there even before coming on board of no work, no pay. But as I mentioned, for us, we rather do negotiation rather than conflict. It's always better to discuss and agree on a solution that works both for the government and also for the union, just like these terms that we agree with ASUU. But notwithstanding, the Ministry of Labour and Employment are the ones that I think have these provisions. But for us at the Ministry of Education, ASUU knows that we are just a phone call away. Anytime there is any issue, even during these negotiations, anytime they reach out to us, we reach out to them anytime, regardless of the time, whether I can receive call from them anytime, and my phone number is everywhere. There's something Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa also has an open door policy for all the unions. We are union-friendly administration, and therefore we are confident that dialogue is something that we engage with them rather than really conflict. But I would like to repeat that the policy for no work, no pay, which started before this administration, is there to stay.
You know, we spoke with the ASUU president on the night of that signing, and he had also spoken glowingly about the honorable minister, his body language, and the way and manner he has worked on this agreement. But he also told us that failure to implement the salary component alone could immediately trigger another strike. So beyond goodwill and dialogue, because at the point of implementation, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's what has caused a lot of challenges with previous agreements. Walk us through concrete enforcement mechanisms that this government has put in place to ensure this agreement doesn't depend on personalities or goodwill alone.
During the signing, I think the signing was covered live. The memo written by Salary and Wages directing the implementation of the Charter was shown by the minister. He actually raised that memo for everyone to see. The memo was written. All the relevant agencies in charge of the salary were copied in that memo, which shows that it has been written and directing that this implementation of the Charter is effective from 1st of January 2026. So in terms of the government part, already all the necessary to do have been done. So I think we should wait for the end of January to see whether they will be implemented or not. But I can assure you that from our own angle, all the necessary preparations have been done. And therefore, there is no fear from us that we won't see implementation come the end of the month.
Let me take you up on a similar welfare concern emerging in other parts of the education sector. An example is the non-academic staff
concerns, which we will address. That being said, of course, the extension for the age in terms of retirement age for the academics and for non-academics is a question that has been raised so many times. Right. I can say that I understand why it was done for the academic staff. As an academic staff also, I'm a lecturer also, probably going back to the class after my appointment. So I can say that there is a concern of some specialization. We don't have enough personnel in those specialization. Early retirement will deprive the system of those experienced lecturers, professors in those fields. And that was one of the main reasons that the extension was granted, which is a very good justification for that. But as I said, we will sit down, the negotiating team will still sit down with other unions to address most of their concerns, to address the concern to arrive at a concession. Indeed,
Prof. That's our time. The professorial cadre allowance is enough motivation for you to return to the classroom, you know, after your after your work as minister, because you need to be there full time to be able to get that kind of payment. And you've also given us assurance tonight that public universities.
Well, for me, it's about the teaching.
yes, absolutely.
It's the joy I get from mentoring and teaching. So
yeah, but the money is also the icing on the cake. After all, you've also given us assurance tonight that public universities will not return to another cycle of strikes and shutdowns, and we're really counting on that. That's our time. Professor Suwaiba Ahmed is the Minister of State for Education. Thank you so much for talking to us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
That's our show this hour. Remember, you can watch it at midnight and 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Ogunsoye.